The first 10 thoughts of Marcus Aurelius Meditations 170. I learned from my grandfather Varro. His kindness and not getting angry easily. Of the reputation and memory left by my father. His modesty and manly character. From my mother. Her religious sense. Her inclination to give everything she had and refrain from any act of evil. As well as her simple life. Far from all kinds of luxuries and vanities. From my great-grandfather. Not having attended public schools, but not to have disdained the presence of him in his house of the best teachers and to have remunerated them as they deserved, without repairing in expenses. From my tutor. Do not take sides in public complaints, resistance and frugality, the care not to entrust one's work to another, not to start 100 things at once and not to listen to gossips. Of Diogenes first. The aversion to trifles. The incredulity to the hoaxes and lies about the way to preserve oneself from demons and other similar nonsense. Not becoming fond of raising quails or other similar hobbies. Putting up with the opinions of others when they were sincere. Having familiarized myself with philosophy, having as teachers first Baccio and then Tandasio and Marciano. Learning to dialogue from a very young age. Having accustomed myself to a humble bed covered with skin and, finally, to all the practices and disciplines that are typical of a true Greek philosopher. From Rustico. Having convinced me that it was necessary to control my character and watch myself very carefully. Not having composed rhetorical treatises and misleading speeches intended to convince others. Not having tried to surprise by false appearance of activity or charity. Having renounced rhetoric, poetry, refined style. Not wearing the toga inside the house and all other similar vanity. To use in my epistles the simple style of which he gave me a good model in the letter he wrote from Sinuesa Segundo to my mother. To be always ready with respect to those who had neglected me and treated me roughly. To reconcile with them and to go to meet them at the slightest indication that they made of repentance. To read with the greatest care and not content myself with considering things in an insufficient and summary way. Not to let myself be convinced by those people who continually talk foolishly and crazy. In short, having been able to read, thanks to him, since he lent me from his library, the books that preserve us the lessons of Epictetus. From Apollonio. Independence. Deciding to act without hesitation and without blindly surrendering myself into the hands of luck. Not having another guide than reason at all times. Always being master of myself, even afflicted by great pain, by long illnesses or even by the loss of a child. Having shown me with his most noble example that the greatest energy and the greatest sweetness of character can be perfectly combined. Having learned to be patient as he was in all his explanations. Having taught me with his living example and simple of him, since he was such a modest man that he had very little that skill and experience with which he shared his doctrines with others. Finally, having taught me, likewise, how it is necessary to accept what among friends are usually considered as favors, that is, not to let myself be easily won by them, nor to rudely despise them. Of Sexto. The benevolence and the example of a patriarchal family. The conception of what life is according to what nature teaches. The seriousness free of affectation. The true solicitude. The one that continually stalks the desires of friends to please them. Tolerance with the dull and with those who are used to giving opinions without having previously reflected. The art of putting himself in tune with everyone. An art that he practiced naturally, with such perfection that, without flattery or baseness, he charmed all who met him, without for that reason ceasing to inspire them the deepest respect. His ability to discover with absolute precision the best way to order those principles by which it is necessary to regulate life. Never having manifested anger or the shadow of any other unworthy passion. Quite the contrary, always show a character as calm as affectionate. In short, his ability to speak discreetly and to show off, without the slightest pedantry, his vast knowledge. From Alexander the Grammarian. Do not criticize anyone. Not get irritated, nor look down on those who do not speak properly. Quite the contrary. Teach them sweetly by expressing the true word gently and without reproach, wrapping it in a discreet answer or starting a common discussion regarding the substance of the matter, not on the form, to hurt less, or by any other means of suggestion direct no less appropriate.